If you're looking for a new pair of classic style golf shoes, then Footjoy have got not one, but two options for you. The Footjoy Traditions, which are a cheaper and supposedly more comfortable pair of shoes, or you've got the more expensive, but more premium feeling Footjoy Premier Series. But which one should you buy? Does the extra money for the Footjoy Premiers mean that you're actually going to play better?
Whoops, how much room is that, right?
Probably not, but they do fit and perform differently. But I've used them both on the course side by side so I can share the key details that you need to know. I've also got some intel on which of these two will hold up better over the long term, and as if that wasn't enough, PGA winner and West Ham superfan Billy Horshel shares why he switches between the two depending upon the conditions. In terms of the design, they both have this classic styling, but as you can see, the Traditions have a softer, more rounded design to them, whereas the Premiers are a little bit slimmer in design and definitely a little bit sharper in their styling. Now, when it comes to the Premiers, you have got a few different style options depending upon your preference, really. So right here, I have got the Tarlo version. With the Traditions, you have got just this one style, but you have got plenty of different colorway options. So here I've got them in a blue camo, which I think looks pretty good, to be honest. I would say that the Premiers do simply look more expensive, and well, you would hope so because they are. So let's talk about fit and sizing. So with both of these shoes, as normal with Footjoys, I recommend sizing down half a size. The Traditions do naturally fit a little bit wider, but it doesn't really matter because if you want the Premiers, then you can order them in wider fit versions as well as the regular sizings. In terms of arch support, I would say that they both feel the same and they both feel relatively neutral. But I did find that both of these shoes required some breaking in. Now, I would say that the Traditions do have a bit of a softer feel around the ankle and the heel and the tongue. Even with this extra bit of padding on the Traditions, I still got blisters at the back. So I definitely recommend putting some plasters in your bag or maybe even putting them on beforehand the first few times you take these shoes out. Once you get through that period, they are nice and soft, and the quality leather on both of these shoes are just going to break in over time more and more. Talking of the leather, these are both leather uppers, but they are using a different type of leather. So with the Traditions, it doesn't really say, it just says it has a leather upper, whereas on the Premiers, you are actually getting the Pitards leather, which is a more premium leather that they use across their more premium range of shoes. However, it does seem that there is a pretty significant difference between how these two different types of leathers hold up over a longer period. So I'll be sharing a bit of intel on that shortly. If you are the type of golfer that loves a new pair of shoes, but doesn't really want to pay the absolute earth for them, then make sure you sign up to my free monthly golf deals newsletter, where I share all the best golf deals that I find each month and send them straight into your inbox. It takes 2 seconds to sign up, and it's the first link down in the description below. In my most recent newsletter, I shared the deal that I found where you can pick these up for around £70 rather than the $120 that they retail on Footjoy's website. The Traditions are definitely softer underfoot, given the fact that you've actually got a foam midsole, but it's not particularly soft, so you are getting an element of comfort underfoot with these, but don't expect a super soft, squishy, cloud-like feeling. If you're looking for that in a traditional style pair of shoes, then you're definitely going to want to check out the Adidas MC80s. I'll include a link to my full review there. So then the Premier Series, as you'd think, with no midsole foam, are a lot firmer underfoot. The Ultralight insole is offering an element of softness and comfort, as you'd expect from an inner sole, but in the grand scheme of things, these shoes are sitting at the extreme end of the firmness spectrum when it comes to underfoot feeling. Now, this difference in firmness between the two might be a relevant factor for you. It certainly is for Billy Horshel, as he explained in this interview.
So a few years ago, I was dealing with some plantar fasciitis. For some reason, I had some Traditions at my house. When I was practicing, I put them on. I was like, man, it felt great to just be in them. It felt a little more cushion. Walked around in them, played a few practice rounds, and for a year or plus, I just wore Traditions just because of that. That's gone away now. I go back between Traditions and Premiers due to maybe the ground conditions. If it's really hard and it's really hilly, I may wear the Traditions for a little bit more comfort. It's a little bit lighter, easier to walk in. And then sometimes when it's wet and rainy, I'll put the Premiers in because of just the stability, a little bit more heaviness in the shoe. Gives me a little bit more, force down into the ground. And then honestly, the other reason, it's look.
I thought that was really interesting that Footjoy put that out, and my key takeaways were two things really. Firstly, there is benefit from having a firmer outsole for me here in the UK when the conditions get heavier and muddier, because they do give you that extra bit of stability if you worry about that sort of thing. And then all of a sudden, because the ground is so soft underfoot, the firmness doesn't really matter that much. If I was playing in rock hard conditions in these, then definitely these would feel really quite firm underfoot. And personally, I'd probably want to go for something a little bit softer. The other thing that highlighted for me is that the PGA professional who has millions of pounds of prize money on the line is perfectly happy wearing the cheaper, more lightweight, more comfortable Footjoy Traditions. And he's not worried about how much that's actually going to affect his performance because these shoes have a little less in the way of stability. Is the stiffness of the outsole really going to shave 5 or 10 shots off my handicap? No, I don't think it really is. It's coming down to personal preference and how much stability you like to feel compared to how much comfort you like underfoot. And that was reflected when I was testing both these shoes out on the course. In terms of performance, couldn't really tell the difference. Yes, these are definitely more stable and are more firm, but it doesn't translate into a better performing golf shoe. It's just a different feeling. The spikes on the shoes both held up really well. I didn't have any issue with traction. I would say that the Premier Series has definitely got a more aggressive layout of traction with 9 spikes on the Premier Series compared to 7 on the Traditions, and you've got a lot more traction being offered by this outsole on the Premier Series compared to, well, the only traction that you're getting really from the Traditions are from those 7 spikes. The exposed midsole foam is offering you no additional traction. But as I say, for me, wearing both these shoes in pretty wet conditions, I didn't slip in either of them, so it didn't really matter. Now, when it comes to my reviews of golf shoes, the one disadvantage I suppose that I have is that I can't share a long-term view of the shoes because I simply don't play enough golf to wear all of the shoes for a longer period of time to give you my thoughts on the long term. However, a good friend of the channel shared some information and images with me because he has performed a longer term test with both the Traditions and the Premier Series. Now, he has reassured me that he has pretty much treated the shoes in exactly the same way, cleaning them both after use and even using leather protect on them too, as and when needed. And you can see from these photos here that the Traditions have certainly deteriorated a lot quicker in terms of the leather compared to the leather on the Premier Series. The Premier Series has definitely held its shape a bit more and is offering that more structure and support in the upper over the long term. Now, both of these shoes have been played, I think, around 1 round, maybe 2 rounds of golf a week for a whole season, and you can really see the difference between the two. I'd love to hear in the comments what you guys think of these shoes. Maybe you've worn both of them and you can share your personal experience in case anyone's still on the fence as to which one they should buy. Tap the like button and subscribe if you found this video helpful. And if you are still on the fence about which pair of traditional golf shoes you want to buy, then I've included an even bigger comparison video, and I'll include a link right here where I run through some of the options from Adidas, G4, as well as Footjoy and Puma too.